Welcome back, Momentous building family. Today we have another project story update of the office build out in this garage. A lot of progress has been made in these last 2 weeks. I want to kind of share you what it's been going on, what it's been like, and some of the updates going on. As always, this is going to be a great show, so if you like it, hit the like button, slam that subscribe so you can share the message to everyone around us. Alright, so it's Friday. It's been about a week and a half, 2 weeks since we shot our last video talking about the framing being completed and some of the work that was upcoming. What we got done so far is the rough and plumbing. We got the rough and electrical done, and we got all of our inspections done. Actually, as of yesterday, we had our rough and plumbing, which was the last one. Wednesday, we had our rough and framing and our rough and electrical. Both passed with phenomenal colors. We ran into some snags with the plumbing, which we'll talk about in a minute. But what I want to talk about is the schedule, right? Because a lot of times when we say inspections, we don't understand we always allot a week in the schedule for the inspection period, because we can't determine when the town can actually come out here and inspect us. Now, other towns might actually be 2 weeks because the building inspectors might be busy. They might not be able to get out here for a week depending on their manpower. So that's all considerations. So we had a week of basically of rough-ins where we did all the plumbing. We installed a new hot water heater. We did all the drain pipes, the water lines, everything like that. On the electrical side, we installed about 6 new circuits, wired up about 20 outlets. I believe it's 12 light fixtures, relocation of 1, and then we also pulled about 4 outlet boxes for Cat 6A cables. So a lot of electrical work. That was about 7 or 8 days of work for 2 guys. So we're looking at 14 man days, somewhere around there, of total electrical work, which is quite a bit, but it's what needed to get this place outfitted to make these offices work. So the plumbing, they came in and they slammed it right out. They came in 3-4 guys every single day, a lot of work. The work we put in here is really neat too, so that's amazing. That was the rough-in phase, right? And then during that phase, as a GC, what we do is we make sure that the electrical boxes are in the right place. They're at the right mounting heights. The sconce lighting in the vanity, right, for the vanity, that's at the right height after choosing the mirror, after placing the vanity top, what the height is, the backsplash, the outlet height for the actual vanity, considering that the backsplash is built in. We have to make sure that we allot that extra 4 inches, so we actually had to go up a little bit higher than what's a standard, say, light switch situation for the vanity. Making sure everything's GFIs, making sure the electricals run tight, we don't destroy anything, no framing was damaged during the electrical. Likewise with the plumbing, kind of working through those vent pipe locations, the waste pipe locations. One of the areas over here, we had to get a 3-inch vent in the 2x4 wall. Well, guess what? That doesn't really fit. So we actually had to fur out the wall 1.5 inches. Luckily, our planning lined up with that, so there was no actual, big changes needed. Working out that toilet fan location. These are all different things that we need to do as a GC, coordinating these trades together, making sure that they get their work done in the schedule. Now, the beautiful thing is that the electricians took an extra day to get their work done. They actually finished up Tuesday instead of Monday, but we were able to get the inspections in here. So we met schedule, which is a beautiful blessing. And that, takes a lot of work. That it takes a lot of coordination and planning. It also takes staying on track of the guys. So why do I bring this up? Because a lot of times some homeowners, rightfully so, they want to save money. Why not, right? But some of the dangers that trying to save money and not getting a GC to manage the project and do everything is that, one, quality of work might be degraded or it might be done faulty. So electrical work or plumbing work, any of this work might be done incorrectly, which can cause hazards down the line or reduction of quality. The second biggest thing is time. Honestly, every single time I've heard stories about a homeowner GCing the project themselves, they lose about 25% or more off the schedule. That's because subs don't really want to show up for them because they know there's not a project out of the way. There's not any strong relationships, and they don't know the current progress percentage that the electricians or the plumbers are currently at just by visual inspection, because they haven't been on a whole bunch of projects. And I'm not hating on homeowners by any means. I just want to stress the fact that there is value for a GC to come in here and make the homeowner's life a lot easier. And quite frankly, they're going to save a lot of money, because if the sub has to do rework, if the homeowner's losing time their time to manage all of these, what are they losing on the back end? So a lot of stress, rework causes more money, missing scope causes more money, these different things that ultimately what we've seen is that there's more headaches unless you're an experienced contractor. We don't recommend GCing projects of this magnitude on your own. Now, let's talk about what actually happened with the plumbing inspection. So, and the electrical inspection, the frame inspection. Frame inspection lasted about 15 minutes. They walked through the entire job. I actually met with the inspector. He's a great guy. All these inspectors, what they really care about is making sure the place is safe for the homeowner and that it's built according to the plan, right? That's why we have permits. That's why we have inspectors, is to protect the actual homeowners and the people living in these spaces to make sure that they are structurally sound. So if you're trying not to get permits, just keep in mind that you are missing a critical step that actually protects you as a homeowner to make sure these construction trades are doing their work properly. The proper wiring, the proper circuits, so that way there are GFIs, if water hits it, shuts off, these different things. Proper size plumbing pipes, right? Proper size connections. These things are very, very important, and that's why the inspections and the permitting process is there. So electrical and framing went through like a breeze. Plumbing, really interested. I'm actually going to show you this at the end of the video of what happened. So we did all of our testing, and with a plumbing test, you actually have to run the water through the system to actually test to make sure it works, make sure it's draining properly, venting properly, and the water supply is adequate. So when we want to actually test the system, we found out that the septic wasn't draining out. So it was clogging up right around the septic connection where we brought our PVC drain pipe in to the actual cast iron connection. Now what was happening, we didn't know at the time. There was a little bit of drip. Okay, it's blacked up. Maybe we have to get this thing snaked out. We did a final test of the drain during the inspection, and it actually blew the cap off of the actual septic connection, which I'll show you guys. And during the inspection, luckily we had a great inspector and understood that the plumbing inspection stops at the point of the connection to the septic system, and those are two independent systems. So now all we have to do is write a letter saying, hey, listen, we fixed it, here was the issue, and it was resolved, and they'll actually clear us and allow us to go on to the next stage. And that's where we're currently at. But what we ran into, this whole thing, we found out that the septic line, after getting a snake and a camera in there, they didn't connect it to the actual septic tank. So we dug down a foot, found the cap. Now we see that they stopped the pipe about 8 feet from the septic tank and never made the final connection. These are some of the hidden things that we deal with that crop up that you can never know about. We don't know why 20 years ago they never connected the pipe to the existing septic. It doesn't make sense, but it's what happened. And we now have the solution, because 2 days from now, we're going to have a septic contractor out here fixing it, and it's going to be a day work, half a day work, some landscaping, and it's going to be taken care of. But it's something that none of us could have expected or known before just looking at the pipe and not actually going through any preliminary tests or anything, which isn't always required, right? There's safety precautions, different things. Yeah, we could have tested it beforehand. However, it is clearly stated in the plans that it is connection, working septic. That being said, that's what we're currently at today, but the issue is going to be resolved. We got all our inspections, and that's what's amazing. Now let me show you kind of around the space. You're really not going to see any changes in terms of huge visuals, but what we have in the walls took a lot of work, week and a half work like we talked about. Let's walk it through. All right, I want to show you this one wall of all the wire that had to be pulled. So looking at this from last week, really no difference. Everything's still nice and clean. However, all of this wiring, as you can see, had to be pulled for the space. So hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of feet of wire, boxes on boxes. They have to run it up nice and neat, drop the wires down to all the locations, put all the clips on, make sure all the circuits line up, put these lights in, the flanges, the toilet fan they put in, and all of this stuff takes time. And it's one of the phases in the project where we see a lot of times the homeowners get like an emotional low at this point in time, because there's not a lot of visual progress and it becomes stale. And up until the inspections are passed, we can't put any big visual changes. However, coming down now, we are actually going to be able to start drywalling, and then we're going to lift it up again because there's a lot of change, a lot of visuals, right? But up, this last 2 weeks, it's kind of been slow, it seems like. Although we've had guys here every single day, there's probably been 3 or 4 guys here every single day for the last 7 business days, getting work done. Just it's the boring stuff, right? The boring work of putting the fire caulk in. Like, no one really pays attention to that, but that's what has to get done. So that's some of the work. Here's our plumbing of the back of the bathroom. We can step inside. A lot of the plumbing too is done under the floor. So, you look at it right here, like, oh, what plumbing was done? They just put a few, pipes in, some hoses, some connections. Here's the vanity setup. There's the toilet. What's going on. But as you see underneath, when we get there, that's where all the real work is. And it takes time to properly pitch everything, to make sure everything's super neat and organized and done properly. So let's go check out in the garage. All right, so we're back down here in the garage. Last time, I'm sure you guys saw a bunch of cutouts in the ceilings. We definitely got that in there right now. We put some new ductwork going in there, so that way that bathroom has some supply air and it's not 5 or 6 degrees colder than the rest of the floor. We also relocated a bunch of ducts too. So a lot of the work that was done was actually done underneath. All that roughened wire was pulled in from the ceilings and taken care of. As you can see, as we go to the other side of the floor, that's the septic that blew out right here. So these are the main waste lines coming down, and this cap actually blew off because there's so much pressure in it, and it blew out right here during the inspection. So definitely not something pretty you want to have happen during the inspection, but luckily we had a great plumbing inspector. And at the end, right when we finish up down here, I want to show you how close it was that they didn't make the connection. It's insane. But so here's this nice and neat work that our expert plumbers did. They really do a fantastic job. Wall mounted this hot water heater and made everything super nice and organized. We like to do a lot of copper and black pipe in these locations because it really keeps everything rigid in the same spot and keeps things nice and clean. And a lot of what we try to strive for is the best at every single option. And yeah, it's just the pipe, it's just that, but it's the visual, right? It should look neat. It should look like artwork, because this is a form of art, right? These construction trades, it might seem rough and tough and all that stuff, but it is artwork, just like carpentry. Plumbing is the same way if it's done right. So we had to bring the gas in there. We have this Navion, which is a great system. It's a gas boiler, 98% efficient, amazing quality. Insulated all the water line pipes so that way they maintain temperature. They don't freeze or anything like that. And going through here, we have all these pipes going through the ceiling. Look at that 3-inch waste line, which travels all the way back. So as you can see, a lot of the work for the plumbing was done underneath here, as well as the electrical as well. A lot of the electrical wire was pulled underneath the floor, and that's why the top side you don't really see that much plumbing. But here's where the real work gets done, and that's why they call it rough-in work, because you don't really see it. It's the work that is behind the floors, in the floors, behind the walls. Not the pretty stuff, but it's the stuff that keeps your home going, and it is, quite frankly, allows you to turn the water on and water comes out the sink. So let's finish up with this septic outside, and that's kind of going to be the story for the week. All right, we're right outside the structure. As you can see, the garage is in the background. It's about 60 feet away, and I want to show you what we have going on here. So this is the actual line coming from that septic, and that's the pump chamber, which it's not supposed to go into there. So we actually have to bring this pipe about 8 feet, and it has to, this is the head of the actual septic itself. So as you can see, they really stopped short, but we're gonna make it work. We could have never known they would have just capped it off like that and left it. But hey, good thing is that this isn't a huge problem, relatively inexpensive fix to make and to correct it. It would have been a huge issue if we had to rip out the entire masonry entrance, bring the whole pipe over. But I think God's on our side in this one and taking care of us. And that's kind of where we're at today, closing out the project. Next week, super exciting, we have drywall starting at the delivery on Monday afternoon already, about 80 sheets, compound and everything. So the next video you guys see, it's gonna have this thing all drywalled up. We're gonna have an insulation inspection, so that's gonna be in there too. But 7-8 days from now, another transformed space up there, and it's gonna be interesting. Finally, after the drywall, we start to make this place really look pretty. Tile flooring in that bathroom, painting's gonna start, the doors are gonna go in, and it's gonna really start coming together over the next 4 weeks. We're gonna be a really good spot. For now, guys, thank you so much for joining me. This is Patrick at Momentous Building. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. We'd love to get them answered. Let us know your thoughts on the video. Smash that like button, subscribe. Catch you guys next week.